Hello everyone. Now today we are basically going to continue the part 2 of where we left off. In the previous session we actually had a lot of discussion about various commands. We started with the introduction of Linux in general. We had a discussion around various different commands, basic commands. Today we are going to build up our discussion on top of those commands. So without wasting time, let's start the discussion. So I have a lot of different commands, the files that we already created. So let's go ahead and create you know DevOps learning, right? So I'm basically going to create a DevOps learning. I'm like clearing out the screen, and as you can see we don't have any file as of now. Let's quickly go ahead and create a file, right? And just so you know, like, we also know that we created a file using the nano editor to create files. So nano, you know let's say animals.txt, and I'm going to write some of the cool animal fact, right? Dog is wild animal, right? And cat, dog, let's say cat, 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 dog, right? I'm just writing some random things. Tiger, right? Lion is the king. So I'm randomly writing some of the, so as you can see, the file got created, right? And I can see the file. So here what we are going to do, we are basically going to look down in some of the commands. So first we'll start with the sorting, phase. What is sorting? Sorting means obviously to arrange everything into an order. So if you do like a cat animals.txt, and I'm going to pass on this pipe. Now before we talk about the pipe, let's first talk about a simple sorting through the writing the file name. And as you can see, we basically passed on the sort command, which basically sorted down everything into a specific order. In this case, an ascending order based upon the alphabet that you want to do. Next, the line is that we are basically going to have a discussion on another sort of the command, which is the unique command, right? So unique animals, it basically extract down a unique value, which means now you might encounter pressure. I can still see cat being written twice. What is unique about it? So unique basic commands basically talk about, like, hey, if there are two, three lines which is in an order, in a specific order, they're basically being displayed to you, right? All together, then unique command basically extract those line and take out a unique in the scenario. That's how the unique command basically works. Now more about the sort and unique, you can always go out to the man page of the sort. So just go out to the man page, like a manual page, and you can read about the manual page of it, which is a sort lines of text file and and stuff like that, right? All of the way. If you want to ignore a case, you want to have a dictionary order, right? If you want to randomly sort it, minus r, and then if you want to do a reverse sort, right, then you can have it. Let's try one of them. Sort minus r animals.txt, and you can have it. Now what a question can basically come down that, Prashant, I still have the animals.txt and I really want a unique line to be printed, and if I use a unique command, it kind of does not give me a proper unique, because I can still see cat and dog, like few lines being repeated all together. So how can I truly extract some unique value out of it? And this is the way, like, what we can do is we can start clubbing out multiple commands together, and hence we are going to use the concept of pipe. Now pipe, right, basically means that we are basically passing on an output of one as an input of the another command. So if I do some like cat animals.txt and pipe on some xyz command, right, which means the output of this command will become the input of this command. So output of this command is this, and then I'm basically like all of these, and then I'm basically passing on the sort, which means it's going to do a sorting on top of all these values, and then I can keep on piping it across. So output of this will become like the input of whatever the command that I want to type it down, and hence so far. So similarly, going by that direction. So for example, if I actually write like cat animals.txt, I'm basically getting an output. I pass on this sort command, and you can see it has sorted it out, right? And then I can simply go ahead and pass on the unique command to basically extract it. We already had a discussion about the pipe in the car in the previous video as well, but let's still do a refresher on top of it, and this way, like we actually got a proper you know sorted file altogether. Yeah, and has a unique line as well, right? Next is like how do we basically go ahead and store these output. Whatever like command that you run, you get certain output, and let's say if I want to save these output, right, what is a command for it? How do I save these outputs? For example, in this scenario, I got this as an output, and I want to save this as an output into some or the other file. Well, the most easiest way is to use a redirection command. Now, redirection command is literally nothing. It's just a you know the greater than symbol and the double greater than symbol. Now, what's the difference between both of them? So the difference between both of them is that, let's say I'm basically running this command. If I use a single, right, and observe this, and I'm creating cool.txt file. Now, if you see, I have created a cool.txt file, and I'm getting certain values out of it, right? Now, notice this. If I wrote animals.txt and I'm extracting head minus one, obviously I will be extracting only one. Now, if I just run the same into my cool.txt file, right, what happened to the cool.txt file is that the previous content of the cool.txt file got overwritten. So if you're using a single redirection, means that it will basically override the content of the file. Now let's use a double redirection. What does double redirection going to be? So right now I have the the line. This line is specifically specified here. So let's say like I want to basically run this instead of, because I know if I run something like this, it will override the content. But what if I do a double redirection? Now, double redirection basically means like it's basically going to, append the content. So we already know this is something that was going to be an output, and this was an output, from the line which was already there in my cool.txt file. And as you can see, it has basically appended the entire content. So that takes us to the next set of operations. So quickly, we just looked around the sort command, we looked around the unique command, we looked around with the double redirection as well, and we practiced the pipe as well. Okay, so that takes us to the next set of the command, and the next set of the command would be around the awk command, right? Now, what is an awk command, right? So let's say, I'll start with this cool.txt file because it looks pretty cool, okay? Now, what I'm going to do with an awk command, and the spelling is AWK, awk. Okay, I'm just writing it down for your awk command. So awk command is nothing. It's a simple text processing and column extraction command. Which means if I have to filter, if I get a lot of log files and I have to filter out some of the content, some specific lines and stuff like that, in those kind of scenario, awk command is literally going to be my savior in general, right? So that's where the log files basically awk command basically comes into play. Okay, so let's go ahead and look into the awk command quickly. So let's say I want to obviously I can go ahead and run an awk command, you know 10 times. So awk, and then I'm just going to write print one, right? That's it. So if you can see, what I did is I'm basically trying to print inside, print $1. $1 means the first column. So what awk command does, awk command works in the concept of the column. So every sentence that you look into it, every sentence, every word by default, if it's separated by a space, then it becomes a new column. So for example, in the line one, there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 column. The line 2 there is 1 column, line 3 1 column, again a 5, again a 4, again a 1. This is how the awk command works. So when you write down print $1, it basically printed out the first column of each and every line. Let's try it out with the $2, right? Obviously it's supposed to print the second line. As you can see, like is was there was nothing here, there was nothing here, so obviously it's an empty, and then is and stuff like that, right? Okay, that takes us to the zeroth part. What about a zeroth one, right? If I just run a 0 1, how does it matter, right? So if I run a 0, means like it's basically going to literally print everything which is there. Now comes across, there are two more concepts around it. One is around, if I can just want to print like multiple lines. So obviously uh, multiple lines is like you just put around whatever the multiple lines separate by a comma, it will print it for you. Okay, what I was going down is an NR concept. NR means number of records. So if you just print NR, it is weirdly like it's basically printing out dog and loyal. So what actually happened with an NR? Now you see what NR does. NR will basically talk about the number of rows or number of records, right? It's easy to remember the number of rows, pretty much easier to understand. So what NR is basically a pointer inside it, which basically points out that in which row I am right now. So this is going to be a first row, obviously, right? So the value of NR becomes 1, and since the value of NR is 1, right, this if you want to print $1, it is like the dog, right? So if I just have to write it down, let's look into the entire scenario. So NR value of NR is 1 here, right? NR value is 2 here, 3 4 5 and 6, right? So when you're basically trying to run this command, right, so it works by line. So in the first line, it was the value was print $1. Now, obviously, in the first line, the $1 means it's a dog, right? So the dog got printed. In the second line, the $2 came across, right? And the $2 is an empty space, right? So hence an empty space. Then we have a $3. Again, in the third line, we have an empty space, a $4, right? $4 is where the logic comes in. $5, right? $5 is something again an empty, right? And hence an empty, and same goes with the $6 as well. So this is what the NR looks like, which is a number of records. Now, taking this and advancing this to it, we'll look into what is the another word to this is something called as the NF. So NF stands for number of fields. And now you observe. So instead of NR, I'm going to try and print an NF. Okay. So now NF. Okay. Now if you just notice NF, right? NF is basically trying to print the last word of every line, right? This. So what NF does, NF is basically counting that how many number of fields are there. So again, like in this example, there are how many of the columns? Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. So value of NF becomes 5. The value of NF here is 1 because there's just 1. Here the value of NF is 1. The value is 5 once again. The value is 4 and hence 1. So when you are basically printing dollar, the first line, right? The value is $5 and hence the animal got printed. The second line, the value is $1 and hence the cat got printed. The hence again the $1, again the $5 and animal got printed. $4, the king got printed and hence the $1 is tiger got printed. So that is enough for you. I hope that clarifies a lot of things as well. Right? Okay, so there are a lot of awk technically is a very powerful command. You can do a lot of things, right? You can do a pattern searching, you can provide some conditional statement. I just gave you a rough idea about what awk can do. Trust me, awk is much more powerful than this. My personal suggestion would be to go to the awk utility man page for it, and then you can basically look around, like what are the things that can basically give it to you, right? Okay. So awk is those is actually a very very powerful command on that front. Next in line would be a quick tr command, right? Now tr command is something called as a translate command, or like a delete characters as well. So what tr is basically going to do is, so let's say I'm basically again going to print my cool.txt, right? And I'm basically so if I print like cool.txt, and this time I am basically going to pass on a tr command. Tr is literally a translate or a delete characters, you can say. So as I say, like, okay, fine, let's replace d by b, right? Now you see all the d's basically got replaced with b, and this is the power of a tr command in general. Okay, so tr command will basically start and store all your like, or convert your characters into another characters. Remember, this is just character replacing and not the entire word itself. And then similarly, if you want to delete some certain thing, right, you also have an option to delete thing as well. So let's say, like, I'm basically going to my bad, it's a substitution. So okay, so if you can see, I ran through my delete, and you can see all the d basically got deleted, right? So this is specifically in the case of the DevOps and cloud. You'll act there are going to be times when you want to basically format an output or sanitize even the input as well before fetching out to the program. Hence you would like to replace something, probably work with the cases, or replace some unicode character to some meaningful character, stuff like that. You can have all of those things, right? So for example, hey, I just want to replace, like, I can see, like, all of them are into, and you can see everything got basically converted into a caps, right? So tr becomes very very powerful on that phase. Okay, so next in the line is a cut command. Now cut command basically means that we are basically removing a section from the line. So I want to basically replace remove a specific part of the section. That is something which you can use with a cut command. Okay, so let's go ahead and look for a cut command. Okay, so cut command, cut, and yeah. Okay, before looking into a cut command, let's just look into a man page of a cut command. It says, as is mentioned, it removes a section from each lines or file, and it works with the characters, it works with the bytes, whatever you want to do, you know, you can have it. Okay, so let's look into the cut command is. Okay, and I'm basically going to type out, okay. Now, if you notice, what actually happened is that we basically removed a part of it, or you can say, like in this case, we basically extracted. So the entire discussion was, dogs are loyal animals and stuff like that, right? We basically extracted the first five character, 1 to 5 is specified. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th. Till now, this is where the fifth line comes across. Obviously, don't go with all the caps because we already converted in, and it's just for a display purpose. But yes, something like this. And similarly, you can always look for C's. As I mentioned, C is for character. You can go into the man page of the card and look for the other possible option, which is basically in front of you, right? Okay. Next, what we tend to do is, like, we tend to move across with commands like a find command, right? What's a find command? Well, find command basically talks about searches, a specific files and directories, and recursively, like, look for, so in short, like, if you want to find some files or any directories within any specific conditions, you can use a find command. Similar, for example, I want to find all the file logs, which is probably there in my so let's say I have, okay, let's say I want to basically find all the txt file, right? So what I'm basically going to do is I'm basically specifying the folder direction, find a folder direction where I want to find. If you want to find out in the entire laptop or in your entire operating system, you just specify a slash and it will basically search for your search in the root directory itself. And then you specify the name, right? And name, let's say I want to find out all the txt file. I specify star. Star means that find everything, but with an extension txt. So if the file name is prashant.txt, the file name is hello.txt, everything will be searchable because star means everything. Okay, so if I simply just run things around and it says no such file or directory, yes, it should happen. Okay, let me just look into the, okay, let me just see. Okay, the dot works, and surprisingly, oh my bad, I don't have a, yeah, that's true, I don't have a home slash one to have been you know messing things around. So I'll just specify as a home name is Shantade. This says I've been working extensively on the Linux Ubuntu machine, and hence this habit of specifying slash home slash Ubuntu altogether. And so now you can see I basically listed down, and I can see the list of all the files and for the entire files with the .txt. Here, if you want to make a specific search of a file, let's say, hey, I just want to search for a file named animals, right? And it will basically show you the name of the animals file in which all directory you are actually having it. It also can show you what are the files which I basically modified, for example, in last one day. So you can use an m time, sorry, my bad, m time, right, and -1, and will show you the list of all the files which got modified in last one day altogether. Okay, and for example, if I want to have to because as an engineer you might have to look for a file of a specific size, right? So let's say, for example, I want to look for a file which is of let's say in my var folder, and I'm basically looking for a file of size and type is f, which is a file, right, and a size of, let's say, 10 MB. Okay, so it will basically look for all the files which has a size of more than 10 MB altogether, and hence I've written down this particular file command. Now, all of these, combination of command can only come across with using with a, man page of the find command. So you go ahead, look for a man page of the find command, and you can have an idea about what this is specific going to do. Very useful command to in a general day-to-day work life. Okay, next set of command, very important, as if you're a DevOps engineer, right, this is something which is going to be extremely important for you. If you're targeting for DevOps or an SRE position, don't miss out these set of the command. So next set of the command is a disk commands, right, which is a disk space usage and directories space usage. So let's first look for a df command, right? So if I run a df command and space -h -f is basically mutable format, it will show the list of all the file ecosystem that you have and how much space it has, like what is the free and the user space for file system. Now you can see C drive, D drive, and everything, because again, I'm running inside my Windows machine, so it does run through all the files and folders that I have on my machine itself, right? But you can actually get an idea. You can also run a -t, okay, command, which -t basically shows the file system type as well. What is the file system type? As you can see, it's basically specifying about the different file system type. You can definitely go ahead and look for a man page of a DF, right, to identify more about these command and what are the different things that you can actually have into play. Next in the line is a du command, which is a directory space usage command. Okay, so directory space usage command basically talks through with about the file and folder sizes. So df is for the disk space. Du command is where it's basically going to talk about uh, directory or the file size. So for example, I'm just specifying a du command right now. Oh my bad, du space, you know and you can see like the site is specifically being specified, right, in a human readable format, which means a 4 kilobyte of these two files is basically the size. You're going to specify the file size for uh, let's say slash home slash today, right, and it will basically show you the list of all the files which you have and what is its corresponding size as very useful command to identify the file. So when you're working in a case of the DevOps and you have a large folder and or probably want to optimize a container size, this du command would come very much handy, where you look into the file and the other commands as well, right. The other set of the command, which is another very useful for in keeping in mind of a DevOps engineer, is basically a top command, right? So if you run a top command, it shows you all the processes which is basically being running around and how much resources are those processes being taken. So as you can see, like these are a list of processes which is running, right? And we have a CPU usage, a memory usage, some time, and which user, what are the process ID of every single usage altogether. So all of these informations are basically being provided to you in a real-time basis using a top command. We have another set of the command which does the same task, and that is an htop. Now htop and htop is basically a has a better UI, right? So very colorful, does exactly what we top command does. It's just that it's much good looking UI. You can see all the colors and everything, and that's basically the difference between an top command and a top command itself. So that brings us to the command. Now we are left with one file permissions, and I'll create another video on the file permissions. But before we leave on from today's session altogether and move to the the next video, which is going to be about file permission, this time it will not take a lot of time for the file permissions as well. I would suggest you, like, how do you basically improve on your learning parameters. So one thing which I basically keep on a lot of generic question people keep on asking me is, how do I basically improve myself in terms of learning things, right? So one thing is very simple. If you have to basically improve yourself, my personal suggestion is solve this challenge from over the wire. So if you go to over the wire, it's a war game. You go there and it's go to the bandit challenge, right? Now a lot of people will come back and say, "Prashant, this is for the cybersecurity. I know this is for the cybersecurity people, but the moment you solve all these 34 challenges from bandit, I can assure you that you'll be very very good with programming, bash, linux in general. Okay, my personal suggestion is to solve all the 34 challenges. If you need some live sessions on top of it, live is like I'm basically streaming it out. Probably going to think about streaming out my entire solution while I'm basically solving all the bandit challenges someday. Once this entire series of the linux is over, here we are. Now remember, it's not possible to cover up every command which is there in the linux itself. Hence, we are trying to cover up all the major of the commands. And while solving this command, there will be a lot of commands, some configurations that probably we are going to look at for the first time, which is totally okay, right? And hence, that is basically going to build up a learning phase. So I hope you had a good time about learning. Do write it down on the comment section that if you really find out this particular video good, and do talk about, like, what would you like to see in other similar series altogether. Thank you. Have a nice day.